Well, bonjour, comment allez-vous, and je vais très bien. Hey, we're glad that all of you are here. Of course, we love to see you, and we love the support, so thank you for everything. As in usual fashion, y'all know what we do. We got to toast up tonight for everybody who's on the live. So here's to everybody on the live, and we hope you had a great week so far, and we're here to make it better. Okay, so here's to everybody on the live. Now look, last week we had a pretty good conversation. We talked about how can you tell if somebody matured early in their lives. And believe me, there are ways you can tell if somebody is far mature for their age, all right? And if you missed it, it's on my page, on my Facebook page. We don't know how to do it yet on TikTok because you can't have it so long. There's a specific length of time that they'll air it. I'll let you post it. But anyway, it's on my Facebook. But anyway, we got a doozy for you tonight, and we're going to get right into it. So let me go ahead and bring my co-host on so we can get started. Y'all hold tight and go ahead and nurse them drinks for a little bit. All right. All right. Hey, Miss O'Neill.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. I
Can
can't
you?
complain at all. Huh?
I can't complain. I can't complain either. I'm trying to get my camera on. So today when I was logging in, it's a bit choppy, so I don't know why. Um, I don't know.
Well, it's not choppy now.
Yeah, it was a bit choppy because I left out and came back in and all that good stuff. But anyway, I's here.
Okay. Okay. All right. And your week has been so far so good so far, hopefully.
It's been a whirlwind. I can't believe we in October right now. It's like I
Oh
mean we
yeah.
in October, so yeah, it's been a whirlwind. And I might have to mute myself out because I was in the middle of working too, trying to get some work done and this, but I'm not gonna miss this. I got some stuff to say. I'm ready
Well,
to
this
listen.
is work. What are you talking about? This is tell a
Uh,
key. This is work.
no, no, work is what I don't enjoy. Work is not what this I enjoy. This is not work for me.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead and now dress it up. All right. We accept your apology for putting us second best.
No, no, no.
But
Get
Keith,
that
how you
money.
doing, brother?
Get that money, girl. That's what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do so you ain't gotta do it no more. You know what I'm
Amen.
saying?
That's the only
Yeah.
way. That's it.
Yeah.
We do what we got to do till we can do what we want to do. That's the way
Yeah.
life goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, let's get into it because I know Miss O'Neill is trying to balance two things. So we're going to get her undivided attention right now before she get too involved in her quote, quote, work. All right. But anyway, our topic tonight is do the Ten Commandments still apply to us today? Now, a lot of people, they stay away from this question because they don't want to, I guess they don't want to offend anybody or, prove that they're wrong. But we want to share some information that's necessary and that's going to make a lot of sense. And also, is lying why is lying not a commandment? We've got thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. Now I know a lot of people going to say one of those cover it, but I'm here to tell you it don't. But anyway, we're going to get into it and we're going to share some information and we're going to have a very intellectual discussion concerning this. I know when people start talking about the Bible, they think that we're going to church. No, we do it a little different over here. We keep it in the 21st century and bring it up to modern times so everybody can kind of understand what's happening. Okay? But first of all, here's what we got to do. I've got to put this disclaimer out because we don't want nobody trying to get at us in our inbox and trying to sue us and all of that foolishness. So we are not clergymen or women, first of all, and we are not theologists. So we haven't practiced biblical concepts in a professional environment, but we have throughout our daily life. Nor do we profess to be biblical scholars. All right, so all y'all preachers and ministers that might be peeping in or might get wind of this of this discussion, just know we let you know up front. This is our experience, and this is based on our research and our spirituality. All right. Although we're not all of those things, we are spiritually aware of God's purpose for all of us. And this discussion is basically our opinions, our perspective, based on our spiritual beliefs. It is also based on our experiences and divine intervention. Now, why do I say that? It's because anytime we get spiritually, particularly in the Masonic order, we always call on that deity. We call on the grand architect of the universe for our understanding. Okay. Now, so let's get down to the meat of it. Y'all ready? All right, y'all ready for it? Here you go.
Well, I'm gonna just start.
All right,
this off with- I'm gonna start this disclaimer right here, y'all. Okay, while you talking about lying, I do tell a little lie, a little bit sometimes. It's the intent of the lie. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay, well we're not going to give it all the way right away, but we understand and your feelings, and I share the same feelings. Listen, I don't believe in absolutism, and we're going to discuss what absolutism is later on, and we're going to give some examples that disprove absolutism. All right, let me go ahead and say it. Absolutism is when you believe that there's no exception to the rule. And there's either is right or wrong. There's no in between. And we have a lot of people who profess to live their lives that way out of their minds. But I guarantee you, in reality, they don't really practice that every single day. All right?
They sure don't.
Because I know for a fact when something happens to any individual, they understand human nature, and if it's as Ms. O'Neill just said, if it's not intentional, even though you committed an act, a total lie, then there should be some mitigating circumstances, and there should be some mercy. So that disproves this theory of absolutism. So anybody that believes it, we can have a discussion later on, or you can do your research, and there are plenty of examples where there was nothing absolute. Even in the Bible, and God, Jesus, and all the biblical scholars that were close to God, they gave mercy even to their enemies. All right. So here we go. We all know that the Ten Commandments originally, they are a set of moral and religious laws given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. That's pretty common knowledge. We know that he gave them to Moses on Mount Sinai. But for this discussion, we won't discuss all of the commandments, but we'll discuss what we believe are the most important parts and the point that we're trying to make about this lying. And we believe there's a reason that thou should not lie was a direct commandment. I mean, if you really think about it, why wouldn't that be as clear as day? Just like thou should not kill. Why wouldn't that be there? And we're going to discuss why. You may have your own reasons and your own perception about it, but there's a reason for all of that. Now, some scholars and theologists, they teach and believe that we are not under the Mosaic law. And they believe that the Ten Commandments in the Old Testament were specifically written to the Israelites, and Moses was the commander that delivered those commandments to them. So there are people that believe that. And they believe that they only pertain to the Israelites. And we know well, maybe y'all don't know. The Israelites were the Hebrew people. And that was during ancient times. Of course, others have different beliefs. There are other theologians and other ministers and preachers who have a different belief. But largely, most people believe that the Ten Commandments were only pertaining to the Israelites when God delivered them from slavery. But what I do believe, I believe that they all agree that the Ten Commandments were first given to Moses and they were for the Israelites. That's the first conception that I think we all believe, and we know that after he brought them out of Egypt. Now, the Ten Commandments served as the foundation of the covenant or the agreement between God and his chosen people. Let me say that again. The Ten Commandments served as the foundation of the agreement between God and his chosen people. So my question would be, why did he only give them to the Israelites? Does anybody have any opinion of that? Why did he only give them to the Israelites? All right.
I think
There are many.
that
Huh? Yeah, you got your Wi-Fi on or something. Go ahead.
well, I turned it off and it was worse. I was gonna say because it applied to them at that time for them to, in order for them to get to where they need to go. You know, when we talk about the Exodus and everything. So, in order for him to grant what they needed, he needed for them to follow those commandments, follow my commandments. So, I think it was just meant for them to.
Yeah, you're breaking up bad. I don't know what.
That's my.
Yeah. But anyway, you're right. Listen, they were given only, excuse me? Well, they were only given to the Israelites because they were God's chosen people. And the reason that one might ask, why were they God's chosen people? Without getting too deep, I'll say this. It was because of God's promise to Abraham. We all know the story of Abraham, who God said that if you obey me and because you have been a humble servant, I will make you the father of all nations. That was his promise to Abraham. The Israelites were Abraham's direct descendants. So therefore, the covenant that God had with Abraham, it extended to the Israelites. And that's why they were his chosen people. It wasn't an act that he just did randomly for no reason. Because of his covenant with Abraham, it was extended to them because they were his descendants. Now, the commandments established a covenant relationship with God. God had freed the Israelites from slavery. And the commandments showed how they were to live their lives and live as his people. That was the main reason that the commandments were given to the Israelites. It was a covenant between Abraham and his people, which were the Israelites, and it showed them how to live their lives with God and with other people. All right? Now, this is a big thing right here. They also gave the Israelites a distinct moral and spiritual identity because they worship different and compared to the surrounding nations. Other nations, as you all know already, they worship idol gods and practice injustices. So the laws were given to the Israelites, which distinctly separated them from other nations, and it governed how they were to act, behave, and worship. All right. Now, if you look at the commandments, the first half shows the Israelites how to live with God. The second half shows them how to live with other people. Now, I didn't know that till I did my research. But that is a fact, okay? So we all know that. Keith, you got anything you want to add before I keep going, or you waiting on your chance?
No, I'm vibing with you. I'm just rolling. I mean, there's a lot I could say, right? But because I'm rolling with how we roll, I don't want to take it a different direction because you're spitting a lot of facts right now that a lot of people don't know about. And here's the one thing I will say, and this is a fact. A lot of people are confused with Israel now and what Israel meant in the Bible.
Oh, yeah. Now you said something.
So, Israel, back during those times that you're saying, is a people and a group. It was not a continental line that was divided that this land is Israel. Israel was the people and it was the movement, right?
Absolutely.
The Israel now is different from the perspective of the way they broke down the land and the whole way it's laid out. So this is not like, we're not anti-Semitic or any of these things that we're talking about, right? We respect everything. Jesus was a Jew. It says it in the Bible. It says Jesus was a Jew. So we are not disrespecting or saying anything in any way, shape, or form because we understand the truth. Jesus was a Jew. It said Jesus Christ, King of the Jews, correct? So when you look at it, you just have to look at history in the way that things have been somewhat
manipulated,
changed in a sense to do what? To control people. That's all. Yeah. It's like translating a foreign language. Like one of my languages outside of English is Spanish. And you can't translate Spanish directly to English. And a native speaker is going to speak different than someone who learned it from a book. And there's a lot of things in the slang that don't apply directly. So, for example, in Hebrew, when we talk about, when the Bible talks about Adam and Eve, the way they always depicted it to us was a serpent. Serpent doesn't mean snake in Hebrew. That's not what happened with Adam and Eve.
Hey, you get deep,
right?
You get deep.
Mr. G, I'm Masonic, baby. I just didn't put my hat in yet. I'm not. Shout out to all y'all. I'm gonna be one of y'all soon. But look, that Adam and Eve, that's not what happened. There was no snake that came and talked her out of it the way she bit the apple and all that. No, let's talk about Cain and Abel. Why did Cain kill Abel? Right? So we're not gonna get into that. That's what I'm saying. So when you ask me, do I have anything? Yeah, I got a lot to say, but I'm trying to, like, you know what I'm saying, kind of roll with it because we understand the truth. And we know that it was no snake that convinced Eve to eat an apple. That's not at all what happened. And that's not even the Hebrew translation because serpent doesn't mean snake in Hebrew. Go ahead, Mr. G.
Yeah, serpent. Hey, you said a mouthful there because serpent, as we know and understand, is that a serpent could mean trickery, sorcerer, magician. That's what the translation was. But if you take it literally, you really, as I and everyone who was brought up in their various religions without coming into it on their
We
own.
all took it the same way, Mr. G. We thought it was a
Absolutely.
snake till we learned the truth, man.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
So it definitely was not a snake. And man, if y'all want that conversation, you just let us know. And I'm telling you, you have to be prepared because
We're not ready for that one. That's a private group conversation where we invite people to a private session because that one
Yeah.
gets deep. And me and you talked about it. And you know what I mean? You put me on to some stuff like that. Is that one right there?
Oh yeah.
That'll change your whole world. Like, yeah, people ain't ready for that, man. They not ready for that one.
All right, but we'll curtail it right now. We won't. I won't say anything about it. But it's interesting that people have that belief. Even up until today, we have adults who really believe that there was a serpent and that the devil was a snake or appeared as a snake, and all of those different stories. And they're fascinating when you're young, but once you get older and you grow into understanding, man, it's a beautiful thing to experience what the truth is and know what the truth is. So, but we'll leave that alone right now. But so we all know that the Ten Commandments guided the Israelites, and the first half represented how they were supposed to live with God, how they were supposed to worship Him, how they were supposed to sacrifice, how they were supposed to do all these things. And the second part actually told them how you live with your fellow man. How do you treat other humans, other people? How do you respect other people? How do you give reverence to elderly people? All of these things are taught in the second half of the Ten Commandments. All right, but listen, here's the thing. The Ten Commandments weren't just rules. They weren't just rules. A lot of people read them because they were in tablet form and they were written, but they represent God's character.
Lifestyle. Yes.
If you read the commandments sincerely and with hopes of understanding, you will find that they represent God's character. They call for His people to live a certain way. So, I mean, a lot of people read, you can't take things literally if you don't understand it, because that's dangerous. But once you gather understanding, then it all makes sense. And I'll tell everybody on the line, the Bible agrees from one part to the next. There's no disagreement in the Bible. Now, I will say this, if you do not have understanding, then it will appear that it's controversial and that it contradicts itself. It doesn't contradict itself if you have the understanding. Remember, God's purpose remains unchanged. It has not changed. So we have to keep that in mind. Right? All right, I tried to bring Miss O'Neill back on, so I don't know. So let's move on, because we aren't going to be long tonight, because this is really compact and hard hitting. All right. So the Ten Commandments were the foundation for righteousness and fairness. That's why He created them in the first place, because all of the nations were living and having vile worships. They lived in a lot of sin, and God wanted to separate His people from that, and so He gave them those rules which to abide by. Now, so let's move on to what I like to emphasize, and that's lying. Now, I know all of you people, just like me, have met people, and I used to be one of them. Let me see here. 33. I used to be one of those people. You remember? And I know
Okay, I'm back now.
Okay, I know you all said, I can't stand the lying. I heard my grandmother say it. I heard my mother say it. When I grew up, I said it. There's interpretation that needs to be discussed by what is meant by that. The commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. That's the closest commandment to direct lying. That's the closest thing to lying. Now, and why did we just pick that out? We picked that out because the first thing is that there's misconceptions about lying. And if you have the wrong misconception about lying, you look at people differently. You treat them differently. When you think that you know that this is an absolute situation and there's no exception to it. And we're going to point out that there are many, many exceptions, just like there are exceptions to every commandment in the Bible. The problem is we are not the one to grant the exception. And we find ourselves in positions where we try to judge people based on their actions. And their actions and their consequences are deeply rooted in our beliefs. So when we hear, thou shalt not bear false witnesses against thy neighbors, what actually does that commandment mean? And before we move on, let's say we believe that the Ten Commandments still apply to us. It applies to every man, woman, and child. And even though it was ideally and initially created for the Israelites, the context and the meaning of those commandments still apply to us today. And why wouldn't they apply to us? And if you believe that they shouldn't, what's wrong with us abiding by the Ten Commandments? Even if that's your belief. It's not that it takes anything or distracts from your way of life. They were created to create harmony and give guidance in how you worship God. All right. So, it's an absolute, which means lying is wrong under any condition. How many people believe that?
Well, I already told y'all what I believe. Yeah,
Say it again. We didn't hear you.
that sometimes I have to tell a little bitty lie.
So if you tell a lie, a lot of people believe that if you tell it and it's intentional, then it's wrong because you knew you were lying.
Listen, cause y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Cause today, a telemarketer, I don't know if it was a telemarketer or a bill collector called me, and I answered the phone and said, Miss O'Neill is not here. Cause I ain't nobody getting no money. I'm tired. I'm just telling y'all. And whether it's a little bit lie or a big lie, I know it's a little wrong, but I tell them that all the time. They be like, "Man, I speak to Miss O'Neill." I be like, "She's not available right now. Can I help you?"
You
Yes.
example.
Yes.
But you're not the only one. Now, no, most people aren't going to have the courage to say it live and up close and personal as you would, but they all do it. We all done it. I've done it a time or two in my life. And so, that's why I say, when we get into self-righteousness and we get into people who are actually trying to judge people based on their beliefs, then those individuals have not matured spiritually with the understanding of what the Bible is all about. So, as I said, in ancient times, lying focused on the courts. When you hear, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, That's in ancient times, the focus was on the courts and falsely accusing someone. Now, every lie does not accuse anyone, just like the one you just gave. That's not accusing anybody of anything. Nonetheless, it's still a lie if you know it not to be the truth. So we're going to distill that all lies are not good, and we're gonna tell you why and show you why, in hopes that you will gather some understanding as well, as we have. So in ancient times, the premise was that the courts were heavily involved in the judicial system, which they are now, but they were a lot of emphasis on those commandments and whatnot. Because even giving false testimony in a trial could cause an innocent person to be punished, as in ancient times, and today, or even executed. So that's why they say don't bear false witness against your neighbor. That commandment was designed to protect justice. That's what it was. So that does not include all facets of lying.
Well, now, can I say something?
Yes, you
Now,
can.
y'all, we having a moment of clarity here, and we being transparent. Because
Absolutely.
you know them judges and them lawyers be lying. Cause even in the court of law, they be knowing their client did it, but they gotta say whatever they say to protect their client, because that's about money. Or people even lie out of fear. Even if we want to go back to the biblical times when when what it was, Simon Peter denied Jesus and stuff like that. People will lie and deceive out of fear. The only person I know that didn't lie was Jesus Christ himself and the Lord. Okay. But the rest of us, we be lying. And people do it out of fear, because I'm gonna tell you, when them bill collectors be calling me, I do it out of fear. You ain't finna get my money. And with everything people do, I would, you do it out of fear. It's human.
Well, the joy, if you owe them, it ain't your money no more. You owe them people.
Well, yes, it is. It is my money. Time to decide to relinquish it. Like I said, we all, I'm just saying now.
All right. Okay. I get your point.
Yeah.
But listen, over time, religious leaders have also understood it more broadly, that lying part, to not lie about others, period. That's what some religious leaders say. Don't lie at all. It is wrong to lie at all. But the premise of ancient and biblical times was lying induced gossip, slander, and spreading rumors. That's what they were talking about. So if you were to tell a lie on your neighbor back in ancient times, and the court system was not as advanced as our system is, where you have a jury and all of these different things. And even in those cases, you still got people who really will not stand for the truth. We see that happening all the time. As you just said, when you talk about lawyers, once they have that client-attorney privilege, there are certain things that they can't even say. So even if you, listen, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, if you know something and you withhold the truth, that's no different than telling a lie. If you stand up and watch a man get executed to save yourself, what is that? That's withholding the truth, because you didn't come forward to say that you did it. All right? So, further, it meant do not misrepresent the truth in ways that harm, HARM, harm someone else's property, someone's reputation, or somebody's life. That's what it meant when the Ten Commandments said, do not bear false witness. Notice that I put the emphasis on harm. That's going to become very important real soon. Because that is what truly makes a lie morally right or morally wrong. If it causes harm. So everybody on the live, understand this. And I'm not advocating that you should lie. I'm just giving an understanding for truth and intent. That's what we need to understand more than anything else. That even if we tell a lie, the intent determines whether or not it's good or bad. The intent determines whether or not it's harmful or harmless. So like I said, we're going to discuss what's morally right and what's morally wrong. And I guarantee you, my hope is that you'll understand why from the examples that I give a little later on. But being honest and trustworthy in your words and dealing with other people is the foundation for all of the commandments. Being trustworthy in your words and dealing with other people is the foundation for all other commandments. So in today's terms, it's not just about the courtroom like it used to be in ancient times. It's a call to live truthfully, live your life truthfully, avoid deceit, and protect others from harm, which could be caused by lies. We all know that we've talked to people and people said some very, very disgusting things about other people. And when you hear them, whether or not they're proven or not, your perception of that individual changes. That's just human nature. A lot of times once we find out the truth, we can kind of forgive it, but more often than not, that perception still remains with us. Now, whether or not we execute and use that in evaluating that individual is a different story. You still can have that information and treat someone fairly, or you can treat them unfairly based on what's been unproven or based on what you might believe about that individual. So we've seen where people have said some despicable, nasty thing. We've seen where people started rumors and lies and just talked about people behind their backs with no consideration of what harm that might cause that individual. So we discussed it a little bit. So now let me ask everybody, do you believe it is wrong to lie, period? I'll give everybody a minute. Do you believe it is always sinful to lie? And I know you all probably didn't think that we were going to take it in this direction, but I put it out there that the emphasis was going to be on lying because a lot of people don't understand what that means. And they hurt people intentionally, or they look at people differently when you don't even know why they lied. You don't know what the consequences of the lie is. So we all relegated ourselves to a lesser degree and remove ourselves from that judgmental position, then we'd have a better life and we'd treat people more fairly. Now, if you are an absolutist, and I gave a brief definition of that, which is a person who believes that no matter what happens under any circumstance, it is wrong to lie. That's what absolutism is. There's no gray area. There's no misinterpretation. It's left or right. That's it. Now, so your belief as an absolutist is that regardless of what happens, it's always wrong to lie. Big or small. The Georgia just said she tell a little small lie when the bill collectors call. Say, no, she ain't here. Knowing that she talking to. Now, I've lectured this subject masonically on many occasions. And I always use this one example. Now, y'all get your drinks. It's going to be kind of long, but you got to follow me. If you follow me, I guarantee you're going to, matter of fact, let me freshen up because I got to have my throat cleared so I can be heard. Go ahead, Miss O'Neill. You over there smiling.
I'm not saying nothing because I know, baby. I know I'll tell one in a minute.
And you know what's getting ready to come too, right?
Yeah, you done told us the story.
Yeah.
You done told us.
Hey, but see, the thing is that everybody needs to understand that we're not never in a position to judge anybody else. When we start placing ourselves, we have so many people that are self-righteous. I don't lie. Yes, you do. I just don't think that you should have lied about that. Where it's not your call. All right? So once we start understanding that, hey, stay in your lane, as they say. Now, let me wet my throat real quick. Hey, George. Hey, Zoot. Hey, Batista. Hey, Netta. Hey, we're so happy that all of you all are here. Hey, Dorothy. Thank you so much for joining us. And we do this every Wednesday night. So we want y'all to come and be a part of our inner circle, if you will, because we love you all. Okay? Now, let me get to my story. For all of you who joined us a little late, we're talking about whether or not it's okay to lie or is it wrong to lie under any circumstance. Now, this right here is for anyone who believes lying is wrong in any circumstances. Right now, I want you to think of your mother or your daughter or anyone you love dearly. Your mother, I always use women because they are the ones that as a man, we're supposed to protect, and they're always dear to our hearts. So think of anyone that you love, any person that you are willing to give your life for, regardless of the cost. Now, here's the story. Now, imagine this. That individual that you love so dear is the only witness to a murder. That individual is the only witness to a murder. And the killer is a deranged, murderous, non-merciful individual. Now, that person that you love so dearly is called to testify because they're the only ones alive that can identify the killer or the murderer. Now, and because of her testimony, the murderer is sentenced to life solely because she was the only individual that could identify him. Now, when that murderer received that life sentence, he vowed to everybody that if he finds out who that witness is, who locked him up for life, he will kill them. And we know he will because he's already done it. Y'all still with me? Miss O'Neill, you following?
I'm following.
Break it down. I'm right with you. Go ahead. Break it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that individual, your mother or your daughter, she's identified the killer. The killer, we know, is a murderer with no sympathy or empathy in his heart. And we know if he says he will kill her once he finds out who she is, we know that he surely will kill her. Now, several weeks pass, and you can even say a month or two. You turn on your television and you see breaking news. We know when it's breaking news, it's very serious. You see breaking news that murderer has escaped. And you know for certain, if he finds out your mother, who she is, after all these years, he doesn't know what she looks like, where she lives, or any of that. But you know for certain, if he finds out that she's the one that locked him up, he's going to kill her, and there's nothing you can do about it. Y'all stay with me. So several weeks passed without incident. Thank you for the gift. Several weeks passed without incident. Now, shortly thereafter, you and your mother or your daughter or that loved one, you decide to go shopping. And you're downtown Atlanta or downtown Jersey, New York, or wherever you are. And you turn the corner. And you immediately see that individual who has escaped several weeks, several months. He's walking towards you with a shotgun. Let's say an AK-47 for modern time. So he's walking towards you, right? And your mother, who you love dearly, your daughter, you walking hand in hand toward this deranged killer. He approaches you and he asks you, "Hey, do you know Miss Branch? Do you know this person? The individual that locked me up, because when I see her, I'm going to blow her brains out." Now, he tells you that. There's nothing you can do to prevent it from happening.
Excuse me.
Your daughter, or whoever that individual, they're standing right next to you. So now, everybody on the line, I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to think that individual is going to kill your mother. She's standing right next to you. He has a weapon. There's nothing you can do to prevent that murder from happening. What do you do? what would you do? Do you, because you're absolutist and you're holier than thou and you're self-righteous, do you say, oh, here she is right here, but please don't kill her? Because there's nothing you can say that's going to change his mind after she locked him up. And he made that vow to everybody in the courtroom and to himself, which is more important. So what do? You just say, nah, I don't know who she is. I ain't never seen her in my life. What would you do, Miss O'Neill?
I told you, I'm telling them I don't know who she is and I don't know who I am either. So that way, if you thought I was her daughter, I ain't her. I don't know either. I don't know me either. I don't know me. Did you say who that? I'm telling y'all the truth now.
So when we talk about this spiritual awareness of people, and when we start talking about how people judge other people based on their spirituality, based on their beliefs, they will look at you and say, you shouldn't have lied. If you're an absolutism, if you believe in absolutism and you're an absolutist, if you believe that there's no deviation from the truth, a lie is a lie no matter how big or small, they will look at you and say, you shouldn't have lied.
I mean, in all honesty, in all honesty,
Right.
you got them people everywhere. You those people that say they wouldn't, but they would, that do it. You and I had a discussion about something that happened to me at work the other day, and that was a lot.
You're breaking up again. What happened? You're breaking up.
Huh? I
You're
don't
breaking
know.
up.
I
So
don't.
you must be moving.
I don't know what's going on.
Now you clear. Go ahead.
No, I'm right here. I'm still. But I was just saying, can you hear me? So
Yeah.
I was just saying, you and I had a conversation about it the other day, about and we laughed, we got a good laugh off of, about lies, people say, and it's sad that people do good to hurt other people, but I do believe, that certain cases, like
Keith, is she breaking up of you too, or is it just me?
Nah, she's choppy like
You're not breaking up, but at first
she chopped up like she doing hibachi.
I'm not doing anything, but
oh, now you good. Now you perfect. There you go.
I think it's the way I turn my head. It might be these metal screws I got in my neck, y'all.
Go
I don't
ahead
know.
and finish while people
Messing
hear.
up the reception. I don't.
But go ahead.
Can you hear me
and
now?
take call. Yeah, go ahead.
But no, I was just saying that it's sad the lengths that people will go through to make others look bad or to save themselves. But if I had to save my mama or my family member, I wouldn't hesitate to do so. And I don't think that in those instances, I wouldn't be like, Lord, forgive me, because I know they probably knew that I was going to do that anyway. Save them versus, losing them. So, yeah.
All right. So listen, and that's why I wanted to give this example, because I met people, who are so judgmental when it comes to other people. They would like for people to exercise leniency when it comes to them. So that example, it just proves to me, and I don't believe, unless you don't love your loved ones, that no one would sit there and say, yes, here's my mother right here, and I know you're going to kill her, but Mom, I love you, but I got to tell the truth. I just don't believe that, me personally. Now, I'll tell you what I do. I lie so good that he would think it's the truth by the time I'm done. I'm gonna lie so good to protect my parents and to protect the loved ones, and particularly when there's nothing that I can do about it, because we're all put on this planet, whether or not we believe it or not, to see after and take care of each other. If you find somebody lying in the street and you can walk right over them, then your humanality and being human is questionable, because most people are not going to see someone suffer, and if they have the ability to do something about it, not do anything. So here, again, remember, I'm not that naive to where I'm going to say, okay, God wants me to always tell the truth, so I can sacrifice my mother in this particular instance. I don't believe that. Remember, and I don't believe it's morally wrong. People can think what they want. They can believe whatever they want. But I don't believe that's morally wrong to say, I don't know who she is and where she is to protect her. Now, that's just me. I don't know how anybody else's feel. My logic is it lies solely in the word harm, as I emphasized from the beginning, because harm is the definitive word that decides what is morally and immorally right. So was that lie harmful? If you protected your loved one from being murdered and you told a little white lie, was it harmful? My firm belief is your intent and your heart condition determines any sin. Your intent and your heart condition determines any sin and what is morally right or wrong. Again, I don't place myself in a place of judgment. I'm just saying, with my spirituality and my evolution into understanding certain things about this life and certain things about the grand architect of the universe, those are exceptions in that particular situation. And even if you or anyone else think that it's wrong, or if it's questionable to you, then only God can determine those two things, what my intent was and my heart condition. If that wasn't convincing enough for you, how about something real simple? A real simple example. That was not extravagant, that wasn't that complicated, and I think it illustrated the point to the T. If someone asks you for directions, and there are 3 ways to travel, and you know all 3 of them, but you're a good person, you don't want to cause any harm, and your intent is always pure, so you want to keep people from harm. So there are 3 ways to travel, and you know all 3 of them. But because you feel, now this is just your opinion, you feel the 3rd way is dangerous. So you give them only 2. Is that a lie? I would say it is. If you know all 3 ways and then you only give them 2, then you're lying, because lying is what goes hand in hand with truthfulness. So if you know 3 and you only give him 2, that's lying. So for all the absolutists, if you believe that's wrong, because you don't want that individual to drive down that dark alley where they might get robbed, particularly if it's a woman or a child or someone who seems vulnerable, you're trying to protect them. And our intent and our heart condition is judged by who? Only God. None of us can say, well, you shouldn't have did that. And let's say something happens to that individual because they took your advice. Just because the outcome was negative, that doesn't change your heart condition. So if my conditions were built on the fact that I'm trying to protect, regardless of the outcome. All right. Do y'all have anything else you want to say? Because I'm getting ready. I'm almost closing out. But those two examples, I firmly believe that will illustrate to anyone where lying is okay. And I'm not advocating lying. And I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying in certain circumstances, there's no such thing as anything being 100% or absolute. Not in this life.
Well, I think that what you're saying, I relate to it. That's why we relate and enjoy it. It's not common sense. Some people are so caught up in focusing on what things look like. When you talk about the Ten Commandments, for example, and I'm not going to take it too far, but that's a whole different lie because that gets into religious beliefs of who said the Ten Commandments. Was it the Baptist? Was it the Presbyterian? Was it the Pentecostal? Was it the Catholics? Like, who's talking about the Ten Commandments? That's the first thing that I'm looking at, right? And every situation is going to be different because religion is man-made. So we got all these man-made things that make things confusing. So for me, I try to keep things simple and use basic common sense. If somebody coming from my mind to murder, I'm going to say I don't know her, period. That's it. And if that means that I'm a liar, well, I'll deal with God when I deal with him. That's it. I don't even think twice about it because guess what I know? God wouldn't want me to get my mom killed. Why would he want me to get my mom killed? Right? So people make this mistake of God is like this one way, one perspective person. No, God gave us all free will. That's why we have to choose him. So when you look at these situations, there's not like a one way or one off, right? It's multiple different ways with these situations because the Bible was illustrations and parables and stories that you're supposed to use to your advantage. For example, and I'm gonna be done with this. They talk about Noah's Ark. A lot of people believe that really he put all these animals, male and female, in some type of boat. Well, no. What if they did it through DNA? Okay, we're not gonna talk about that. Then they talk about the Virgin Mary. Oh, the virgin birth. Okay, well, what if she did it through in vitro? The same way that it goes on now. So,
oh man, you get
so
deep now.
I'm done. I'm done, Mr. G. Close out. Peace.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
yeah, you
Yeah.
get real deep. And a lot of times people don't even think about that kind of a situation, even though they can see it with their own eyes, how it is possible today. I guess they felt that, most people feel, and we know better, because even before Egypt, even there were extraterrestrial, there were intelligent beings, there were giants, there were
Some
all
people don't even believe in extraterrestrials, Mr. G. So the thing is that if you don't believe in any of these things that we're saying as a person, you can't fully get to the truth. You got to learn.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, so here's the tech, man. You made some good points, Keith, and yeah, I didn't want to go there. We can have that, but there's some information and there's some knowledge out there that's way beyond our understanding, and as we grow as a people, we find out more of this stuff is being revealed to us. Even when we talk about spaceships, let me stay away. Here we go. But anyway, the takeaway is your intent is to prevent harm, not cause it. So I would say that has to be the most important thing. And as Keith just said, that people believe that God is one facet. No, but he's multi. He's omnious. He has feelings. Otherwise, why would he feel so badly for his people who have turned against him? So we can't look at it as being one-dimensional when we talk about the grand architect of the universe. A lot of people look at some of the things that he's caused and say, well, oh man, people said this to me during my lectures. And they take a Bible passage out of context. When God says, I am a jealous God, when he calls a great flood, when he, Sodom and Gomorrah, all of these different tragic things that they say God's caused, which he did, doesn't mean that he's an angry or just violent God. Look at how we behave. You can be a good person all day long, and I'm not equating this to God, but sometimes your emotions get the best of you, and you become devilish, you become angry, you become hideous. You do a lot of things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, correct? So we have to look at it from that perspective. But one thing is constant, and what he's proven is that love is his best quality. So let's get back to this lie so I can close out. I was one of those people who used to say, man, I can't stand a lie. And anyone who knows me know that I don't lie. That's what I used to think. And of course, I don't lie intentionally, and none of us do. Well, even if we lie intentionally, we do it because we're trying to prevent harm, not to gain an advantage. If you lie to gain an advantage, then of course that's come from a place of evil.
Mr. G, I'm gonna give you one more lie. And I don't mean to cut in, but all the people on this live that got kids, if your young kid comes to you and says they drew the family out and everybody on the paper is a stick figure with one piece of hair, you're gonna tell that kid that painting is awesome. You're the next Picasso or the Modigliani. Are you telling the kid the truth when you say that? Are you telling them the truth? So that's for all the people with kids. Your kid wants to do a dance skit for you. They can't dance. They don't even have no rhythm. And they do a dance. And you say, wow, that was amazing. That's awesome. Are you telling the truth? So, like, are you telling the truth? Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man.
Those were some good examples I didn't even think about, Keith. Yeah. Because we all do it, and we all do it out of a place of love. We want to encourage them, right? But nevertheless, it's still a lie. So if you are an absolutist, then you're saying that that's wrong for you to do. And I'm saying it's not wrong for you to encourage your children. It's not wrong for you to protect the people that you love. Only time it's wrong is when there's ill intent and when you are only doing it to gain an advantage over other people or over your situation. So we all have to deal with that, and we all have to start acknowledging what the truth is. And the truth is that your intent, your heart condition, which is only measured by God, not by man, is what determines whether or not you're a lie. You get a pass, as people say, because it's all sin. And we all know that we were born in a sinful world, and we're going to sin regardless of how righteous we think we are. We all sin. Now, so I understand what it means now. I understand that if you lie to cause harm, it is not righteous. It is not of God. If you lie just to gain an advantage and put somebody at a disadvantage, that's not of God. And someone who lies intentionally to cause harm are to be deceitful, to spread rumors. Those individuals have evil spirits. And none of us favor any individual like that. Somebody that's talking about you for no reason because of jealousy. They're not in charge of their own emotions. They don't understand the God that's within them, because God is in you. You have to suppress it, not to do good. You have to suppress his spirit to not to do good. All right. So in conclusion, as we all said, none of us condone lying. So don't jump off of this live and say, oh, they just had a broadcast talking about it's okay to lie. That is partly true. Put it in the right context. So when you run and tell somebody, make sure you tell the full story, or else you're lying. And that's what we're talking about. So we don't condone lying, cheating, stealing, or none of that. And no one should lie to purposely cause harm to anyone else. But to lie to prevent harm, to lie to protect without personal gain or selfishness can be morally and spiritually acceptable to our grand architect, and it should be acceptable to us, even when we don't understand it. God judges us by our intent and our heart condition. Imagine if he didn't do that, if he didn't look at your heart, man, we all be doomed, because the actions that we take as humans, a lot of time is, is destructive, is unacceptable, and is without consideration to anybody but ourselves. So imagine if he didn't take that into consideration, our heart conditions. And that's what brings us closer to God, our heart condition. So whether or not we lie or tell the truth, you can tell the truth and still be the most deceitful person on this planet. If your heart condition and your spirit is not aligned with the Spirit of God, then it doesn't matter how many truths you tell or how many lies you tell, for that matter. So he judges us by our intent and our heart condition rather than by our actions. And that's a grateful thing that we should all be grateful for. Because if he didn't judge us by our heart condition, our actions would surely have us doomed straight to hell, if you believe in a hell. And that's another story. So, for everybody on the line, that's what we should concern ourselves with. Stop being so critical when we think people lie. Stop being so judgmental when we don't understand the circumstances. All we need to understand is that we are not here to judge. The Ten Commandments taught the Israelites how to honor God and how they should live with him. And it taught us how to honor God and how we should live with each other. Bearing false witnesses against thy neighbor, lying, gossiping, spreading rumors. Do we think that's of God? Because that's exactly what bearing false witness meant back in the Old Testament. So anyway, thank everybody for coming. I knew this was going to shake everybody up a little bit. We enjoy having a different perspective and bringing the truth. Now, we got a lot of truth that's very, very deep because we've studied and we've lived and we know certain things and we've accepted it as our truth. So we will have deeper discussions, and I think we'll do it as Keith said. We may not have that open here, but we might have a special group that we might, if you have a topic or something, if you want to get heavy into the religious, we don't do religion because, again, religion is man-made and is established for control. We are spiritual. So anyway, take care. Auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, au demain, and we'll see you all next Wednesday. We love y'all, and thanks for joining.
Peace, guys. One love.